So I'm going to go into the banning of institutional investors from purchasing one-family homes. Let me just back up a little bit. So if you guys remember, in 2008 and 2009, there was a financial crisis. Houses went from here all the way down to here because of foreclosure and everything else, okay? So let's assume a house that was worth $500,000 is now worth $250,000. What ended up happening was that Wall Street, which are these institutional investors, they saw an opportunity. So what they started doing, especially in the Sunbelt states, is that they started purchasing a lot of these homes in foreclosure. Now, why? Because there's a huge discount in price. And number two, they wanted to get cash flow. So cash flow, what does that mean? They were going to rent out the house and collect rents, and this is what they were going to do. So since that time, since 2008, the financial crisis, they continue buying it. Now, what it represents in the marketplace, they own right now around 3 to 5% of all the one-family rental properties, okay? The rest of the percent is owned by small mom and pop, just smaller investors. But institutional investors are Wall Street, right? So now that's 3 to 5% nationally, but in the Sunbelt states, it's about 20, in some cases 30% of the housing stock. So imagine some parts of Florida, Georgia, Arizona, Las Vegas. In some areas, it's 20 to 30% of the housing stock. Why is that a problem? Well, typically you have a family or an individual, especially nowadays, that scraps to save for their down payment, okay? And now they're competing with these institutional investors that are coming in using the algorithms and sometimes paying above the asking price with no contingencies, no inspection. And that is very attractive to sellers. So if a seller is, or a homeowner is going to sell their home, they have two choices. Somebody with a down payment that has to get a mortgage, or somebody all cash that can close sometimes in less than 30 days. That's a big problem, because what ends up happening is that decreases the housing stock. Now, if you decrease the housing stock, which is supply, it increases pricing pressure. I'm actually applauding this because this is something that really got under my skin because it's very difficult nowadays for people to buy. So this in turn, if we look at the demand, I'm going to put D for demand and S for supply. If we look at this equation, it's actually going to decrease demand, because what's going to happen is that you're going to be able to take all these institutional buyers out of the marketplace, which is going to put less pressure on price, which will create some sort of balance, especially in the Sunbelt areas. In New York City, it doesn't really affect us because there's not institutional buyers buying here. It's really in the Sunbelt states. Now, this has nothing to do with the amount of homes that they already own, the 3 to 5%. They're not making them liquidated. It's just going into the market. They're not going to be able to participate anymore. But again, if this passes.